but you see the possibility.
And welcome back to Red Card. I'm your host, Anthony Totera. As I said, stay tuned. In about 10 minutes or so, Marky Delgado of TFC joins us. He got the first goal against Chicago Fire. But right now, joining us, Canadian and a guy who grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, Amer Didic with Swope Park Rangers. Amer, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, Anthony? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, pleasure's all mine, Amer. Now, right off the top, I think my wife is going to be a fan of yours. You're born on December 28th, the same day as my wife, and 1994. Born, I believe, in Bosnia. You came to Edmonton, Canada. Tell us about that journey with your family coming to the great country of Canada.
Yeah, for sure. I was about 1 year old when I moved over to Canada. We actually moved over to Surrey, BC. That's where we had a sponsorship because we were refugees from the war that was going on there. My dad was a pilot in the military, and so we came over. Settled down in Surrey for a couple of years, and then made the transition to Edmonton, and that's kind of where I grew up and started playing soccer with the clubs and all that.
Well, let's talk about that very quickly a little bit before we talk about your pro career, growing up in Edmonton and playing in that youth system. What are some of the memories of playing in Edmonton? What are some of the memories playing some clubs all across Alberta? How important was it for you to get where you're at today? What are some of the memories and some of the coaches that mean a lot to you still today? Tell us.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a very positive experience playing, growing up and playing with several different clubs in the Edmonton area and playing against other teams in the Alberta province. But I mean, there were multiple teams growing up. I never really had like a team where I was constantly for more than 2 or 3 years. So I had many different types of coaches and different types of influences throughout those years playing club soccer. But I think the funniest thing, and probably the best memory for me, is just how the weather always played a big role in the club level, because for a little bit of the year you're playing outside, and then you got to make the quick transition to indoor facilities for the most of the year. So it was always interesting in that aspect.
Amer, let's fast forward now. Let's talk about playing with Swope Park Rangers in a fantastic organization. Sporting Kansas City treat their players first class. Their supporters come out in droves to watch, whether it's the first team or the Swope Park Rangers. Let's talk about your time with them and how much you've really grown as a player.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I give many thanks to Sporting KC for the opportunities they provided me, especially last year with Swope Park Rangers. Last year was obviously a really good year for Swope Park. We made it to the USL final. Unfortunately, we lost that final, but I think it was definitely a valuable year in terms of starting off my pro soccer career. And there's Mark DeSantos being our head coach and Nikola Popovic being assistant coach. I definitely learned a lot. There's no better coaches to have someone be able to look up to and gain valuable information, especially in the first season. And so I thank them. I thank Mark DeSantos for everything he did that year. And now Nikola Popovic is the coach of Swope Park, and he's kind of continuing that reign and doing an excellent job with changing the way we play so we can mimic the first team. Definitely a great experience till us then, and luckily I was able to get the opportunity to sign a first team contract this past May. I look forward to what we can do to the rest of the season.
Amer, let's quickly talk about when you got that phone call or that email being selected to play for Canada against Jamaica in this friendly coming up here in Toronto, BMO Field. How great is that head coach Ottavio Zambrano believes in giving you a strong look, a shot to wear the colors of red for this great country of ours?
Yeah, listen, just the fact that Canada has done so much for me and my family, is we're just coming over here, immigrating to Canada, that there's just so much pride that we and my family have in terms of that. So I got a little bit of a taste with U23s, was my first invite, and from there on I knew that I really wanted to have that shot at the senior level. And when I got that email with the invitation, my eyes lit up, and kind of was shocked at first. Kind of read it over again and kind of made sure it was correct. But yeah, definitely, it's always an honor to represent your country, and it's especially great to represent Canada.
Amer, just before we let you go, we got a couple minutes, but you mentioned your family a number of times in the few minutes that we've been talking to you, and it puts a real lump in my throat hearing how special it is for you and your family to be in this country, and how important it is for you to be so thankful and grateful to play for this country, Canada. Talk about your family. Talk about how important they've been in this journey for you, and how important they've been, in watching you grow as a young man. And all the games I'm sure that your dad took you to, and the early mornings and the late nights and on and on. How special is that for you as a young man, looking back and saying, thanks, Dad, thanks to everyone in the family?
Yeah, since moving over here and kind of leaving everything and coming here with literally nothing, just me and my sister, since day one of coming to Canada, they've kind of dedicated their whole lives to us two, And so, just growing up, everything that they do, every purpose that they do, it's with the intentions of kind of having a positive experience on my sister and I. And so, in terms of soccer, growing up, my dad, he played, but he had to stop when he was 15 to join the military, and back in Bosnia. So he kind of really took that upon himself to kind of garnish me playing soccer at a young age. But yeah, growing up, those guys, those two, I can't thank them enough, especially, and my sister as well, for having to hear my parents always talk about soccer. But I know deep down she knows I'm proud of her as well for all of her accomplishments.
Outstanding, Amer. Listening to you say that gives me goosebumps, and I love hearing stories like that. Amer, it's going to be great to see you here in Toronto in the game against Jamaica, the friendly here at BMO Field. I'll come down after the game to say hello. It'll be great to meet you here in person in Toronto. Congratulations, continued success with Swope Park Rangers, and once again, we thank you so much for making time.
For sure. Thank you very much for having me on again. All right, nice talking to you.
That is Amer Didic of Swope Park Rangers, young Canadian star on the rise for club and for a country. Great to have him on. Just after this commercial break, TFC's Marky Delgado will get his thoughts on that big win versus Chicago Fire. Stay tuned right here on Red Card.
Oh, what I could be.